How are you doing? My name is Ben, and today we're going to be talking about the Denver Outlaws, a wildly successful MLL franchise with a fan base on par with that of the Boston Cannons or the Chesapeake Bayhawks. The Outlaws are the team I grew up with and are part of the reason why I love lacrosse today. I remember watching them throughout high school, running home to try to tune on the Altitude channel, hoping it was one of those few times that they would actually be on and I could watch some lacrosse. They were a staple in the Colorado community, and for Colorado lacrosse, they mean so much to people like me who grew up in their prime era of dominance. Enough of that reminiscing, let's just jump right into the history. The Denver Outlaws were founded in 2006 as an expansion team in the MLL. Over the next 14 years, they would become one of the most successful MLL franchises in its history, making the playoffs 13 of their 14 years in the league. Crazy stat, yet they would only win 3 championships from these playoff berths. Still insane to be that successful in regular season play, and there's no team in the history of the MLL that was as good as they were throughout their whole history. In the Outlaws' first season, they would go 10-2, which was astonishingly good for a brand new team. They would advance to the championship game, yet they would fall short to the more experienced Philadelphia Barrage 23-12. This would be an indication of the success that was to come, yet this still came with its own set of difficulties. So if we jump forward 8 years, in their 8th season, the Outlaws had been to the playoffs every year of their existence. Totally not an issue with the MLL or small leagues as a whole. You know, the PLL has the same issue. When you have such small leagues, it's much easier to make the playoffs, although that shouldn't be totally taken to heart. It shouldn't just be meant to discredit the Outlaws. They were still a very good franchise throughout these years, and maintaining that consistency of play is admirable, and it really is cool because no other team could do it. It was only ever the Outlaws. The Outlaws even went 14-0 during the 2013 season, a legendary feat, but it was all for nothing as they would lose to the 7-7 Charlotte Hounds in the first round of the playoffs. By this point, the Outlaws had a reputation similar to the Buffalo Bills of today. They are a great regular season team, but can't finish in the playoffs. A regular season tiger per se. But this would change in 2014. The Outlaws would put it all together, going 9-5 en route to winning the MLL championship, with legendary player John Grant Jr. winning his second championship game MVP award in a row, winning one the previous year with the Bayhawks. Finally, they had broken through, being the only team from the 2006 expansion to win a title. The other teams had folded back in 2009 and 2012. It was a critical moment for the franchise, but the Outlaws weren't finished. Just to reiterate, the Outlaws had been to the playoffs for 9 straight years, every year since they had joined the MLL. On top of that, they'd been to the championship 5 of those years, along with finally winning a title in 2014. No other team, like I've stated before, has ever come close to this feat in the MLL. The Bayhawks were wildly successful, but they went through pretty massive periods of stagnation as well. If you watch my video on that, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. I will say as a side note that this is still in a small league where it was much easier to make the playoffs. Nothing like the NFL, NHL, or NBA with a ton of teams and a high level of competition. Although I also want to say these are the best lacrosse players in the world. They are still fantastic at lacrosse and are very, very good, so the competition is there. So it really shouldn't be overlooked. In the 2015 MLL season, the defending champions missed the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. With an okayish record of 7-7, they would still lose out on the final playoff spot. A truly devastating turn of events for what seemed like such a promising season. Some began to panic, worrying the Outlaws were headed for an age of decline. I'm being dramatic here just to add some fluff to this, but you get my point. There are articles out there, people thought they were going to suck. The Outlaws as a whole felt differently and came back as determined as ever, with names like Drew Snyder, Matt Kavanaugh, and 2 of my favorite DU lacrosse players ever, Eric Law and Wes Berg. I'm biased as hell. You know, you heard the intro. This is the team I grew up with, and this is the age I was getting into lacrosse. So the Outlaws' success during this period played a fundamental role in me developing my love for lacrosse and why I'm even here today making videos for you guys. So of course I'm going to remember them very fondly, and I guess you'll just kind of have to overlook that at parts. I try not to be too biased, but it's hard when the Outlaws are so fantastic, right? The Outlaws finished the season with an 8-6 record, improving from the previous year, along with making the playoffs. They were on a mission to win another championship with the young, refreshed squad. In the first round, they would defeat the New York Lizards 2017, then go on to beat the Ohio Machine 1918, securing their second MLL title in 3 years. What seemed like a closing championship window had quickly turned around into a dynasty for the Outlaws. They would not miss a championship game until the end of the MLL in 2020 with its merger to the PLL. In 2018, the Outlaws would win their 3rd championship in 5 years. A fantastic feat for any MLL franchise, but this would be their last championship win. The Outlaws would make it to the 2019 MLL Championship, losing to the Bayhawks 10-9. Then they would lose to the underdog Cannons in the 2020 championship game. In December of 2020, the MLL merged with the PLL. This would mark the end for the Outlaws. The Cannons were the only team from the MLL to be transferred to the PLL. Originally, I wrote that this is the abrupt end that we have to deal with the Outlaws when I wrote this video a couple months back. I had some theories in here about the Archers possibly going to Denver, as I thought that was the most likely option for them to go, but they ended up winning the championship, and I think that's why they were hesitant to rebrand them as a whole. With the Chrome being rebranded as the Outlaws and that announcement coming earlier this week, it is a fantastic thing for all of Colorado lacrosse. In all honesty, Paul Rabel said it best, there's no other brand that could be in Denver to be as recognizable and to be as supported among the community. Year after year, Denver showed up for lacrosse games, constantly setting the record for MLL attendance over a season. So it makes sense for them to have a home city in the PLL and to eventually be a prominent home team in the league. I'm just glad I get my team back. I'm sure they're going to wind up rebranding a bunch of these teams as time goes on. Personally, I was pretty surprised they didn't rebrand the Atlas to become the New York Lizards, as that is a fantastic brand for New York. I don't care what other people say, it's sweet uniforms, really unique colors, very distinct brand, and they also had a really good fan base throughout the whole area of New York, Long Island, and New Jersey. But that is it, guys. The Outlaws are back. That's part of the reason I wanted to re-record this video, on top of the audio from the original version not being the best, and I thought I could spice up the script a little bit more and make it a little more engaging and fun. I hope you guys appreciate this video. If you did like the video, please drop a like, please subscribe. It helps small new YouTubers like me a ton, and I would greatly appreciate it. I will keep pumping out content like this if you guys keep subscribing, liking, and watching the videos. But that is all I have for you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next one.